Hi everyone, Andrew Johns here from Coastal Front. In the first federal budget after 2 years, the Trudeau government announced a plethora of old and new spending initiatives, all in the name of overcoming the impact of COVID-19, and this spend is big. After a whopping $354 billion deficit in the last fiscal year, the federal government is still planning to spend more than $200 billion in excess of revenues over the next 24 months. So how are they going to pay for this? Well, heavy on paper, the 724-page document, to be exact, in this budget has almost no mention of tax increases, and somehow this budget is going to balance itself, I guess. But there is one notable tax that the feds announced, and it sounds really sexy. It's called the luxury tax. The Liberal government stated that even as Canadians have sacrificed to keep our economy going through the pandemic, some of the wealthiest have done well. Those who can afford to buy luxury goods can afford to pay a little bit more. To that end, the government is following through with its commitment to introduce a tax on select luxury goods. Budget 2021, to paraphrase, proposes to introduce a tax on the sale of luxury cars and personal aircraft with a retail sales price of over $100,000 and on boats for personal use of over $250,000. And the tax is estimated to be approximately 20% in excess of these numbers. This measure would come into force in January of 2022, and estimates for tax collection are as follows. The federal government expects to collect $34 million of additional taxes in 2022, and from 2023 to 2026, about $142 million per year, with a total of $600 million of collected taxes over the next 5 years, which pales in comparison to what these deficits are going to look like. On paper, the idea of taxing the rich sounds really great and probably a good idea to get more votes, but does it actually work? Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, we have a live case study here right in British Columbia to see the impact of what a punitive luxury tax will do with automobile sales. And the data is compelling. Previous to April of 2018, the taxes on passenger vehicles was a flat 10% here in British Columbia, regardless of the price of the vehicle. After April 1st, 2018, the BC NDP government increased the taxes on luxury vehicles as follows. Vehicles sold for a value of $125,000 to $140,000 saw that PST rate go from 10% up to 15%. And if the vehicle was more than $150,000, that PST went all the way up to 20%, double the 10%. Now note, this is in addition to the 5% GST that's already charged by the federal government. So we decided to dive into the data. We pulled ICBC's annual reports to jump in and see what the results looked like. And here's what we found. In 2017, the year before this tax was implemented, the BC government collected in what they called premium taxes of $288 million and regular PST of $225 million. In 2018, they collected $244 million in premium taxes and $203 million in regular PST. A combined net decline in tax collection in that year alone of $67 million. 3 years following the implementation of the BC luxury vehicle tax, the BC government still has not collected as much in PST and premium taxes than they did the year before it was established. In fact, if you add up the deficit of the lower taxes collected annually, this tax the rich policy that was launched, the total amount of taxes that haven't been collected is estimated to be about $126 million. And as for some anecdotal evidence, I actually called a very prominent car dealership here in Vancouver that sells these high-end cars, and here's what they told me. 2 points. Number one, they had to lay off a large number of employees because their sales numbers declined dramatically after this luxury tax in BC was implemented. And number two, the part that was most amazing, is their accounting team decided to run the numbers and take a look at how much they've paid in complete and total taxes to the provincial government on the sale of all their vehicles, and the number's lower. What that tells you is that while there are a few British Columbians who are still willing to pay this tax, there are many others who simply weren't. And as a result, the net number of dollars that this provincial government is collecting on vehicle sales of high-end cars is actually less than before they implemented this luxury tax in the first place. Here in British Columbia, starting in 2022, combining both the federal and provincial taxes, if an individual were to buy a $200,000 vehicle, they would be paying $60,000 in taxes alone. That's a 30% increase in that vehicle. I can assure you there are a lot of wealthy people who live in this province who simply won't pay this tax, and they'll just happily keep driving their Model 3 Teslas, especially the ones where they got the provincial rebate for EV vehicles. So before all you socialists start applauding the Trudeau government for a new tax targeting the rich and famous, just know that they can only collect taxes on people who actually consume. I'll have more for you as things unfold. Thanks for listening in, and make sure you subscribe.